Hi, you're listening to Chip Chat, a podcast from Intel where we talk about technology. You'll hear from experts both inside the company as well as those who work with Intel to create great things. I'm Marcus Yam, technology evangelist, and this episode is about Tiger Lake H. That's the codename of Intel's 11th Gen Core Mobile H processors. These are the CPUs that will be in many of the gaming and creator laptop PCs, as well as some of the mobile workstations you'll see this year. To learn more, I spoke with Kim Augustum, director of the Enthusiast Laptop Innovation Team at Intel. We talked about that very exciting new processor that will be officially announced by the time you hear this recording. Throughout our conversation, you will hear us refer to this new CPU as Tiger Lake H. Last fall, Intel released Tiger Lake U, or the first of the 11th Gen Intel Core processors. And U series is for the thinnest and lightest designs with the 4 CPU cores and really impressive integrated graphics. H series is for the enthusiast and workstation segment that need the power of up to 8 cores and discrete graphics. So without further ado, let's get to our conversation. Kim, thanks for joining me on Chip Chat. For the viewers who don't know you yet, could you tell me a little bit about, first, your name, your title, what you do at Intel?
Of course. Kim Augustum. I run Enthusiast Laptop and the innovation team. And I have been at Intel for about 22 years now and been in this role and focused on Enthusiast laptops since 2011. So 10 years. It's gone so fast. Can't even believe it. So
enthusiast laptops. Now, typically, from the time of hardcore PC gamers, the desktop's where all the power is. So, enthusiast laptops going back 10 years. Now, we know we have a lot of exciting enthusiast laptop technology to talk about today, but can you walk us back a little bit and tell us, how did you define enthusiast laptops 10 years ago, or even beyond that?
Yeah, so the enthusiast laptop segment started even before I came on the scene in 2011. 2008, 2009, there were gaming laptops being built that were 55, 60 millimeters thick, and they were luggable, right? And not so portable. But when I founded the team back in 2011, our goal was to drive thin and to enable consumers and enthusiasts to carry these devices every day. And so we really focused on ensuring that our OEMs and Intel together partnered in ways that allowed us to drive that form factor revolution that has taken place over the last 10 years. And now it's very hard to find a 55 millimeter thick laptop, even if you wanted to, right? So everything now is below 20 millimeters and has been growing at 45% year on year for the last couple of years, the thin enthusiast segment. So that's been really exciting to see that transition happen, and our partners in the industry like Alienware and MSI and ASUS have all done a great job in building form factors that are really attractive. So it's exciting.
So, I mean, just for reference, when you're talking about, and I think, you and I both come from the metric system. I'm Canadian, and metric system. So to us, millimeters, we understand that. But I'm thinking that like 50, 55 millimeters, we're probably looking at maybe the height of a US dollar bill, something around that. And
2 inches, yeah.
Yeah, pretty thick. And now you're talking about things that are sub 20 millimeters, and that's about the height of a US penny?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A US penny is about 19.4 millimeters. So, yep.
Audience, he's very exact. So he's got some engineering roots. I can tell you that.
I don't want to mislead anyone, right? The goal is to drive innovation in form factors so that 20 millimeters and below, right, less than an inch thick, is really the norm in enthusiast laptops. But of course, we still have the enthusiast Halo segment that would be anything that's thicker than 20 millimeters. So an inch thick would be a enthusiast Halo system.
And that's still a radical jump, right? Because we're looking at the power that can go into these. You said luggable. These days, these are truly, very portable, full capacity gaming machines. So in those last 10 years, in your time, in your role, what has Intel done to kind of drive that almost desktop class performance in a increasingly thinner and thinner form factor? How has Intel been helping push that?
Yeah, first of all, we decided to drive with a different type of packaging capability to allow the OEMs to design thinner laptops. And if I may, this is the CPU we're launching here next week, Tiger Lake H 11th Gen Core. And if you look at the back, this is the BGA type of package. So there is no socket inside a laptop that uses these types of processors. It gets soldered down directly on the motherboard, which allows for thinner form factors instead of having a socket like you do in a desktop, for example. So that was the first step, and we took that step years ago, and since then we have really been able to optimize for Z height a lot.
That's very cool. That BGA, that's ball grid array, and that's innovation to make those laptops increasingly thinner. So at the time of we're recording this just before launch, but by the time this is published, the whole world will know Tiger Lake H, or the official name is the Intel 11th Gen Core H series processors, but we love to call it Tiger Lake H because Tiger Lake is such a badass name. So let's jump right into it. Let's talk about H series. What's new? And let me start off with saying that I run a Tiger Lake U series laptop since last year. It's absolutely phenomenal. 10 nanometer super fin. It's really, really great. And I know that Tiger Lake H is for the enthusiasts. Can you tell me what's new for those people who kind of maybe not even know Tiger Lake in and out, but they've heard Tiger Lake before? Are we launching the same product? What's new here?
Yeah, so this is a processor built from the ground up to ensure that we provide end users and enthusiasts the absolute pinnacle of performance, right? We have 3x the platform I/O bandwidth, and we have PCIe Gen 4 directly connected to the CPU. We're using our brand new core microarchitecture, Willow Cove, and this is the world's fastest single-threaded mobile processor, right? We're seeing a 19% gen-on-gen multi-threaded performance improvement. So this is the pinnacle of performance designed for enthusiast laptops from the ground up.
So Kim, you've been involved in the enthusiast laptop space for over a decade at Intel, but let's not go back that far. Can you just kind of walk me back a little bit on what have you done in 10th generation, maybe earlier this year or even last year? And of course, everyone wants to know what's new for 11th Gen H series.
Yeah, certainly. So 10th Gen continues to outgame competition. And earlier this year at CES, we announced two new SKUs, a 6-core i5 and an 8-core i7. And so that set the tone for the entire year. And now with Tiger Lake H launching just next week, we will have the capability to drive even higher performance in games and supporting that NVIDIA RTX series of a level of graphics in a way that we haven't been able to do before.
And on the topic of graphics, obviously gamers, creators, graphics are very important. Now, I do know Tiger Lake has some pretty impressive integrated graphics. Now, again, for this segment, everyone's going to want a discrete GPU, but let's talk about that integrated graphics that's on Tiger Lake H. What's in there for those who just want to run graphics in the CPU?
Well, so battery life is critical to any laptop today. And to ensure that we have the best battery life, we need Intel graphics to ensure that we can run in hybrid mode and not always use that discrete graphics at its full power and capacity. So with Tiger Lake H, we've actually included XE architecture graphics with 32 EUs to make that possible. And in addition, there's also great video machines inside our graphics that actually allows us to do encode and decode in hardware instead of in software. So our graphics today is in an H series product is really capable for what it's needed to do to run displays and to output high frame rate. You can even run the discrete graphics in hybrid mode through Intel's display engine. And that allows you to save battery and actually have longer battery life. So it's critical to have that graphics engine even in a enthusiast level CPU like Tiger Lake H.
So tell me a little bit more about hybrid mode. Sounds like, from what I gather, it's kind of like a real-time switching between your high-powered discrete graphics and the integrated, more power-efficient internal graphics. What are I know this sounds like a unique advantage of Intel CPUs with integrated graphics versus just having, just a single CPU, no graphics, and a discrete GPU. So,
in Windows hybrid mode, it allows the discrete graphics to actually run and then output through the Intel display engine. And so when you're not gaming, the discrete graphics card knows that, and it can run all the functionality on the Intel graphics. So it really allows you the best of both worlds of having discrete graphics when you need it, but the power efficiency and the battery life when you desire that, right? So that's where hybrid is really unique. A lot of gaming laptops today also utilize different methodologies like Muxus to run discrete graphics directly to the display for the highest frame rates. And Intel supports both of these methods, right?
Very cool. Okay, so let's talk about discrete graphics because I think that's where a lot of the the enthusiast market and the creator market's interested in. So, of course, we've been working with NVIDIA to make sure that our systems work really well together. One of these big new features is called resizable bar. This is very new for this generation, very new technology. Can you explain to us what is resizable bar and how it works?
Oh, absolutely. So Intel works with all third-party graphics vendors in the industry, right? And NVIDIA and Intel have been enabling a feature called resizable bar, where the CPU can actually utilize the discrete graphics high-speed memory. And so this was a feature in the PCIe spec. And what we did in this generation with Tiger Lake H is that we actually enabled that size to be set by the OEM to a much, much larger size than 256 megabytes. So now we can utilize the entire graphics memory for CPU workload tasks in games, providing increased performance and in some cases much, much higher frame rates. We've seen improvements up to 7% on games, which in today's world makes a big difference when you're talking about 4K games running at 60 FPS, for example. So this is a really exciting feature. The OEM has to enable it together with Intel and with the third-party graphics vendor like NVIDIA. So it does take a little bit more configuration and understanding and tuning to be just right, but the OEMs are doing so right now, and we're super excited to see what that brings when we have more of these laptops in market.
Oh, great. I can't wait to get my hands on that. Now, you mentioned resizable bar is part of the new PCIe spec. So let's talk about the new PCIe Gen 4 support in the H series platform. What does that bring in addition to resizable bar? What else are we looking at when we're going from Gen 3 to Gen 4 now?
Yeah, so Intel really wanted to establish this Tiger Lake H from the grounds up for the enthusiast laptop, purpose built for the enthusiast laptop. And for that to work, we really needed to include a new generation of PCIe. And so Gen 4 is much, much higher speed, and we included 20 lanes directly connected to the CPU. So now it's up to the OEM to configure that for the best possible end user experience. So if you think of I/O as the communication channel to the CPU, we can now divide that up for discrete graphics. And so the OEM can choose to use all 16 lanes directly connected to the discrete graphics card. But you have to remember that PCIe Gen 4 is twice as fast as PCIe Gen 3. So if they choose to, they can actually use only 8 lanes for the discrete graphics card, but still have the same bandwidth as 16 lanes of PCIe Gen 3. Now, that leaves 12 lanes for the OEM to configure for M.2 SSD connections with NVMe. So this incredible I/O bandwidth that we're providing is very flexible, and the OEM can configure it however they see fit. So we have seen laptops today with 2 M.2 connectors and 8 lanes to the CPU. So you can now have RAID 0, and using Intel's RST, you can take 2 SSDs and configure them in RAID 0 for incredible read-write speeds that we haven't seen before. So 20 lanes of Gen 4 to a laptop CPU is like unheard of. It doesn't exist outside of Tiger Lake H. So that's why we're so excited for this feature to come to market.
Oh, wow, that is phenomenal, exclusive, technology that we're really bringing to the market first as a tip of the spear. I'll have to say, I had heard that there's RAID support in a a laptop that you say is now is sub 20 millimeters, and that to me is just phenomenal. I know the OEMs have to configure these high-end laptops for those gamers and creators, especially the creators who could really use some of this really fast storage. But tell me a little bit more. I think RAID is something that even a lot of especially enthusiast laptop gamers aren't familiar with. So I want to back up a little bit, talk about RAID 0, talk about Intel RST or the rapid storage technology. Explain in simple terms what RAID 0 is.
Sure. So Intel RST has abilities that RAID technology in general doesn't, right? So we can boot from RAID 0. And so if you have 2 SSDs in your laptop, normally you would have one as the boot drive and the other one as a storage drive. And so you only get the speed of a single drive. Now, RAID 0 allows you to take those 2 drives and putting them together and then putting the operating system across both of those drives so that you can read and write to both of those drives at the same time, increasing the speed of the performance of your storage subsystem. And so the unique piece here is that when you have 8 lanes, so 2 M.2 connectors with by 4 to each of those, and then you have 2 SSDs, PCIe Gen 4 NVMe SSDs, and they're configured to have the operating system stretching across both of those drives. Now you also have room for more storage on there, so you can actually run a separate storage partition of that RAID 0 stripe set. So it allows the operating system to read and write to both of those drives at the same time, increasing the read-write speeds. So, for example, we can see 6 gigabyte a second on a single drive read speeds, but on 2 drives, we can actually see double that, 12 gigabyte a second. So that's the unique piece with that RST affords us. We can actually boot from RAID 0.
So this simplifies the system. No longer do you need to have your boot drive, and then you can have, in other systems with RAID 0 back in, I've only rated desktops. I've never had, obviously not have a rated mobile system, but this means that you really simplified. You can have these 2 NVMe SSDs, and that's your storage. They're bonded together, and it's like strapping a second rocket booster onto your system, and you have double the performance. Really, you're just 2 is better than 1. That's what I think.
2 is better than 1, And it also allows you to utilize the size of those in different ways. So you can have, if you have 2 terabyte NVMe SSDs, you can basically have 1.2 terabyte for your operating system partition, and you can have a storage partition that's 800 megabytes, right? So you can break it out differently and allow those allow the performance of the laptop to take full advantage of the storage subsystem. So that's what's so exciting.
Oh, it's flexible as well, so you're not confined to just having one giant pool of double speed memory. You can really just, it's flexible.
Oh, double speed storage? Absolutely.
Wow,
Yes.
that's fantastic. Okay, now for those people who are working more on the mission critical side, where they're looking at those RAID support, does it also support RAID 1?
So you can certainly do a mirror and have 2 drives and be able to support that with RST. Absolutely. One thing that I do want to mention is that we're future proofing here for features that Microsoft has announced publicly last year called direct storage, where you can actually drive you can have games access that storage partition directly and speed up the way that games load and how games perform. And so, we're very excited for second half of this year when Microsoft has said that they're going to focus on direct storage in their next operating system. Direct storage is super exciting, and we're future proofing for it going forward.
All this sounds like it's future proofing. Definitely. I like those words. And I think that you're talking about PCIe Gen 4, talking about how you've got double the bandwidth. So instead of 16 lanes dedicated to graphics, you can have 8. It sounds like this entire platform is just removing the bottlenecks and removing those barriers to performance where you can truly unleash that storage and the graphics card to their full potential and beyond. There's
Absolutely.
a lot of headroom there too.
Yeah, and that was the goal, doing this design from the ground up for this segment of the market, right? We really wanted to ensure that our end users and our consumers can take advantage of this performance that we're providing. So this was, this has been in the planning and execution now for almost 4 years. So we're super excited to see it come to market here next week.
That's amazing. Um, let's talk a little bit about connectivity because we've talked about connectivity, between the subsystems in there with PCIe. But I do know that we've got some other new technologies that are really, really leading technologies that are coming with H. One of them being Wi-Fi 6E. So Wi-Fi has been getting faster, but I think adding that E to Wi-Fi 6 is definitely pushing things up. For those who don't know, first of all, what is Wi-Fi 6, right? It sounds like it's a big jump, but that E, I think, is a bigger jump than most people realize. Can you teach us about that?
Certainly. So Wi-Fi 6E is the first time we add spectrum to the wireless specifications, right? So this is the 6 gigahertz spectrum that is available in many parts of the world. And that spectrum is it will be the first time we add a new spectrum to the Wi-Fi spec in almost 20 years. So if you're looking, if you look today at how crowded the wireless spectrums are with 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, this 6 gigahertz spectrum will give us that new clean spectrum that can allow us to go much, much faster. So that's why it's so exciting. And, it's coming second half of this year as well. So that's part of the future proofing in this platform. We support Wi-Fi 6E as soon as it's available in the world.
That's great. So yes, of course, with Wi-Fi 6 or any sort of Wi-Fi technology, it's going to be available in Tiger Lake H. You're going to have to, update the rest of your network with a new router and that sort of thing. But ultimately, as Kim said, the spectrum sounds like our airwaves are very crowded with a lot of our electronic devices, and they work well. But I think Wi-Fi 6E is really going to, really increase performance there. Okay, so we've talked about the internal platform interconnect with PCIe Gen 4. We've talked about the new wireless connectivity with Wi-Fi 6E. There's still that magical one wire that Intel's been really innovating and pushing for quite a while now called Thunderbolt 4 in its latest iteration. What does Thunderbolt 4 bring for people who are looking at the H series platform?
Yeah, so 40 gigabit a second connectivity is really unique to Thunderbolt. And with Tiger Lake H, we actually decided to integrate Thunderbolt into the CPU. So let me share with you here. Um, in the past, Thunderbolt has been an additional chip, but today with Tiger Lake H, we've actually put Thunderbolt inside the die. So there are 4 Thunderbolt ports inside the CPU. Now, the OEM then chooses if they want to configure that out to the side of the machine, giving the consumer access. And we're seeing our OEMs today utilizing 1 to 2 ports. Some have pulled all the 4 ports to the side of the machine, but that integration allows this platform to be so compact, right? You don't have to have another chip on the motherboard. So that's the truly unique thing with Tiger Lake and previous Tiger Lake that we launched last year as well, is that Thunderbolt is now integrated into the CPU.
Wow, that's great. Now, I have a Tiger Lake chip here myself, but it has the separate I think the separate chip on top. So can you tell me what is the difference? I said it's got integrated Thunderbolt, but what is the other differences between the one you have and the one I have here?
Yes. So thank you for sending me that one. So I have another one too, but this is the baby, right? Tiger Lake UP3, the one that we launched last year, and the separate chip up top is the PCH. So in Tiger Lake H, we actually have a separate chip that goes down on the motherboard that communicates with this, providing more I/O features to the actual laptop design. So this is what we call a 2-chip solution, and this is an SoC, a system on the chip.
I see. So just more integration.
Yes, further integration on the smaller one, and more I/O capabilities on the larger one, for sure.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm covering my face with my baby CPU.
No, that's very cool. And like, this is actually a really nice bonus for those watching Chip Chat on the Intel Tech YouTube channel. If you're listening and you want to see what Kim's holding up, those real Tiger Lake chips right there, definitely tune into our video version. So talking about more features, this generation, besides what we can bring for gamers and all the other performance, there are new AI features that is really enabling new usages on how people use their PCs. So we talked about AI for both across, the baby Tiger Lake U, as well as for Rocket Lake. We talked about that before, but I want to talk about AI features because this is really the future. Can you tell me about what AI features are in 11th Gen H series?
Oh, absolutely. So Tiger Lake H supports VNNI and DL Boost, plus Intel's GNA technology. And GNA allows you to do noise cancellation, for example, and things like that in AI. So artificial intelligence actually helping remove noise from a video conference call, for example. So we support all of those features in Tiger Lake H.
And features like that are super important, right? I mean, people may be thinking that they're buying their big creator and gaming machines, but ultimately, you may want to do some, we're in the world still of video conferencing. We, hopefully soon you and I will be able to sit back together in Intel Oregon and have this conversation face to face, but we're doing things virtually. So these things, even in this time, these features are fairly important.
Absolutely. The pandemic really allowed for it, or forced people to look at their compute needs, right? And we saw an incredible uptick last year in enthusiast laptop sales. And so Tiger Lake H is really coming to market at the right time for people who have been enjoying that entertainment value in gaming, for example. And so the second half of 2021 will be really exciting with all these new capabilities baked into enthusiast laptops for sale around the world. So can't wait for that.
You're right. The PC's really never been more important, really highlighted over the last year. Um, I think another interesting thing that's happened the last year is that yes, demand for computers have gone way up, right? Everyone's realizing the PC is plays such a central role in entertainment, not just online streaming to gaming to everything, right? This is in our increasingly digital world. Another side effect is with everyone really wanting to buy and upgrade their computers, PCs have been in short supply. If you want to build your own computer, great thing. I love building my computers, but it's been really difficult. It's hard to find the parts you want, especially on that high end. Really tough to do. So, what kind of supply situation are we looking at with H series here?
Yeah, so that's where Tiger Lake H really shines, right? We have over 80 designs with our OEM partners around the world. And by the time we launch this product on 11th of May, we will have shipped over 1 million units to our partners, um, our OEM partners and their factories. Over 1 million units by the time
Wow.
we launch the product. So this is where we say our thank yous to our great factory support at Intel, right? That they have been focused to drive 1 million units out the door by the time we launch. That is the fastest ramp that we have ever done. And so our OEMs are, ready, and we will see the embargo to sell to consumers lift around May 17th. And so uh, we are really excited for what our OEMs are able to produce and ship all around the world. And so that's exciting.
That's great. It really sounds like the industry's coming together to make sure that people have, we've got this new technology and we want to get them in the hands of, consumers, creators, gamers, commercial, everything as soon as possible. So it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, someone who is really looking to build a gaming PC, creator PC right now with, a good number of cores and high-end discrete graphics, instead of going for that big desktop, and again, I love that. Let's not say that desktops. I think desktops are still, especially the DIY segment. But if you're looking for, getting into those AAA gaming titles, running at high frame rates, I have to imagine that kind of the easiest way, the one-stop shop, is to track down a Tiger Lake H laptop. Is that right?
Absolutely. Um, the laptop performance have definitely come a long way over the last decade, right? And today we see desktop caliber performance in a lot of our configurations from our OEM customers and partners. So certainly is we are excited to see what is to come in the second half because um, if you look at the market last year, I think AMD shipped about 3 million units into retail, and we will have shipped 1 million units out the door by the time we launch this product, right? So we are definitely confident that our OEMs will have great supply from Intel, and so that's something that we're, you know, very, very proud of and really happy with.
And I recall you saying, 1 million units, that's big, but 80 designs. So it sounds like that there's going to be a lot of design diversity. It's not just a one size fits all. You really will get to choose the design that's right for you. And I know it's still early days. I'm sure you've seen some of these designs that are still kind of secretive, that they're going to be rolling out in the next few weeks. But what are some of the cooler designs or design characteristics that really make you excited to get your own Tiger Lake H?
Can I dive in my bag of tricks and show you something?
Yeah, no, this is, yes, again, a nice bonus for those watching on the Intel Tech YouTube channel on this video version.
So I'm known at Intel for my show and tells. So let's see what we can
All right.
produce. So here with me, I have the Alienware X17, fresh out of Alienware headquarters. And we're really, really excited to have worked very closely in cooperation with Alienware to deliver, a brand new design, amazing form factor, and amazing performance. So this is one of the devices that I'm very excited about, and we are super excited for Alienware to launch this here later this quarter.
That looks really cool. I mean, for the people who can see it, it's got, obviously the obligatory RGB lit keyboard, but it's actually quite so. I mean, here, what are the measurements for that one? Because I can't really see over that video, but it looks pretty thin to me.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I don't have a caliper with me to measure it, but Alienware will definitely let us know that here when they launch later this quarter.
That's actually pretty phenomenal. I've had gaming laptops before, and that looks like to me something that we used to call ultra portable, and that's really an enthusiast class gaming PC. So that's obviously that Alienware looks pretty cool.
Yep, absolutely. I'm super excited, and that's just one of 80, right? That's the unique piece here, that we have so many designs coming. Choice is really important, right? Consumer choice. And that's what Intel provides with our enabling of our partners, is to ensure that they have all the help they need to launch as many differentiated products as possible. So we're super excited.
That was my conversation with Kim Algstam, director of the Enthusiast Laptop Innovation Team at Intel, who has been involved in putting ever-increasing power and capabilities into thinner and more portable form factors. Kim recalled a time when these type of laptops were 60 millimeters thick. That's just a little bit over 2.3 inches. Today, laptops with 11th Gen Core H series CPUs with up to 8 cores on the 10 nanometer SuperFin process are 1/3 of that thickness at less than 20 millimeters thick. That's just around 3/4 of an inch. And that's quite an achievement given that desktop level performance that these notebooks are capable of. Other new features include 20 PCIe Gen 4 lanes with Intel Rapid Storage technology, bootable in RAID 0. That's 2 SSDs bonded together for double the speed and capacity. There's Thunderbolt 4, there's Wi-Fi 6E, and a host of other new features. And there's a whole lot more coming up in the Chip Chat series. We're available in SoundCloud and other podcast platforms. The video version, which you'll appreciate this time with all of Kim's show and tell, is available on YouTube on the Intel Technology channel. Thanks for tuning in to Chip Chat, and I'll see you in the next one.